let's do another meanwhile on Snapchat. And not just any meanwhile on Snapchat. This one I could entitle Your First Superpower. How exciting. Now, I've watched enough Marvel movies to know that when it comes to superpowers, this is quite a heavy subject, and we do need to just slow down and ask ourselves the question, are we going to use it for good or for evil intentions? Because I'm more of a villain, so unless you're going to use it for evil intentions, you probably should just stop watching now. I don't even want you to know. But if you are still watching, let's get into it. Why can some people see the future in their dreams or when they're in a trance? This is a very good question, but before I answer it, let's back up. Consciousness is very important to this discussion. Consciousness comes from another dimension. It's not from the one that we are currently in. The one that we're currently in is locked to time. Consciousness is from somewhere else. And a little bit of it gets injected into you. You have some, and I have some. We all have some consciousness inside of us. That little piece of consciousness is locked to time because it is inside your body, which is inside this universe, which is locked to time. However, your consciousness comes from another dimension or some sort of otherworldly plane that we can't yet understand, but we know it comes from somewhere that's very different to the normal worldly things that we have, because scientists can't explain consciousness yet. When you dream, your consciousness inside this world is not here. You might have noticed, you go to sleep and then you wake up the next day and you don't really remember what's gone on in there unless you have a dream. Dreams are usually just your brain going over the day, going over some of your memories, just archiving things, just neatening up things. So if it plugs at a little light, you might have a memory flash, or if it plugs at a little light, you might have a future thing that you are looking forward to, and your brain will start thinking of ways that you can get to that. That's very different to the precognition kind of seeing the future dreams. Those ones are because our consciousness is switched off from our worldly body and it connects back to the original source. I call it the river of consciousness. That river of consciousness, where all of our consciousness originally comes from, is what we are connected to when we are sleeping. So you're connected to that river of consciousness, but remember that consciousness is outside of our dimension. Our dimension is locked to time. That dimension is not locked to time. So occasionally, when you're in a dream, sleep, trance type state, when your consciousness is slightly disconnected from this body and more connected to the river of consciousness, you can see the story of life outside of time, which means you can look backwards, fine, that's the past. You can look now, that's the present, or you can look a little bit further and see the truth, the future truth. But in order to see the future, you have to be in this dream trance-like state. So your normal body, where your consciousness normally is, where your brain thinks and stuff, has to interpret it in a dream manner. You aren't really awake. You can't really see what's going to happen. When you wake up, you're like, ooh, that's weird. Cool. Oh, that was as exciting as I was hoping. Okay, so getting superpowers, that's going to be exciting, and my minions are going to start growing. That's cool. Don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe. But now that we're getting these superpowers, we probably do need to expand our arsenal a bit, because if all we can do is tell what's going to happen in the future, we're not going to have the real superpowers to do anything about it. So I'm going to start working on super speed and flight. Until then, see you soon.